I should have held on to that thing because it was just in perfect shape. Well, welcome back, my radio friends. This is the Radio Dog Channel, and my name is Tom, and I am your host on this radio hobby adventure that is this channel. So today I thought I'd do something a little different. I've been doing a lot of POTA, Parks in the Air field activation videos, a lot more amateur radio in the last year. But I thought I had this idea of doing a kind of a top 10 or a top 5 video because, well, who doesn't love a top 5 video, right? I'm always suckered into these people that I don't know and how they would rank whatever it is, whether it's Bob Dylan songs or movies or whatever. So this is a little slant on that. So this is the top 5 radios that I don't have anymore, or top five radios that, like a total dope, I got rid of or I sold or whatever. You might call it my biggest radio regrets, because we probably all have some. And I don't know how you are, the kind of radio hobbyist that you are, but the kind that I am, over the years have accumulated radios and kind of sought after various ones. I tend to like older analog portable stuff, but I kind of dabble in just about a lot of different things. And I don't have an enormous amount of money, and so it's always kind of play money that I'm working with, which is in limited supply. And so oftentimes, in order to get something, I would have to let go of other things. So that has been a constant. So over the years, I've sold a lot of radios, almost as much as I've purchased them. So there's kind of this flow in and out of my life. Another dimension to it is that I go through periods where I just want to lighten up. I just want to get rid of stuff. I got so much junk lying around, and some people enjoy that and relish it and collect. I collect to a certain point, and then I just want to simplify. And so I go through these periods where I'm purging and simplifying things. So those two impulses together, kind of the impulse to get rid of, or the impulse to get rid of for the sake of getting something else, have combined over the years to me getting rid of a lot of radios that I really wish I hadn't. In retrospect, I really wish I had now. So why did I get rid of that? So I wanted to give you my top 5 radio regrets. But before I do my top 5 today, I just wanted to give some honorable mentions. So here's some radios that were, they're good. I mean, they were good radios, and I kind of miss them. I don't miss them all that much. But one example would be the Kenwood R1000. It's a big, it's not overly big, super heavy, old analog radio. I'm not sure when it's from. You can see it online. Beautiful sound, sensitive, all that. I had one of those, and I decided to get rid of it. I'm not sure why. I might have actually had 2 at one point, or I had them at different times. Anyway, I don't lose sleep over that at all, but just one that I kind of liked. Here's an example of one I didn't exactly sell. I've got this beautiful old Grundig console stereo upstairs with a radio with shortwave in it, and record player and all that from the 50s. Old woman from church gave it to me years ago, and so it was not operative, so I took all the guts out and I sent it off to a company in Massachusetts, a company whose name I won't mention. I don't think they exist anymore, but they went out of business, and all of the guts, who knows, they're probably in a landfill, or who knows where they are. So anyway, that's a regret. Little ones, like I had the Texan version of the the Yacht Boy YB500. It's a nice little portable radio. You know what I regret about it? I put it out at a yard sale for $5. I mean, what was I thinking? It was a cute little radio, and some guy got it, probably didn't know what he had. Anyway, let's go to my top 5 radio regrets. So coming in 5th place is the Sony ICF 5900W. That's a mouthful right there. Why did I get rid of it? I have no idea. It was a nice little radio. It was in perfect working shape. But it was in one of those episodes where things were accumulating on the shelf. I wasn't listening to it. I was preferring other radios over that. Again, not the biggest regret in the world, but there it is. Nice little analog portable from Sony. Number 4 on my list is kind of an emotional connection to this radio. I had a Realistic 302, DX302, which was really my entryway into the hobby as an adult. I was living in Virginia, and there was a consignment store right across the street from where I lived, and they had this ham radio. And I'd always been interested in radio, but it was $200, and at that time it would have been more than 10 years old, at the early 90s, I think. Anyway, it was my entry, and it was a nice old receiver. And I learned a lot about radio on that thing. I learned the bands. I learned the single sideband and upper and lower and all of that. And I remember tuning in back in the day, and Radio Moscow would come in, booming in. It was a nice old radio. So I didn't actually sell that one, but I neglected it, and I was in the process of moving a lot. I left it behind at a friend's house, didn't bother to retrieve it, and by the time I was interested in it again, it was long gone. Who knows what happened to it? So the Realistic 302. Number 3 on my list is actually the radio I have, not this radio here, but it is similar. A Kenwood TS520. The one that I got rid of was an SE. And that really is the primary ham rig that I've had in my life. I had the very first ham rig I got was a 520S. And I had that for a few years, very intense into it in the early days. It kind of ended up in a closet, kind of collected dust for a long time, and I decided, you know what, it's time to let this thing go. So I sold it. And then a few years later, maybe 4 or 5 years later, I got the bug again. And I said, well, I think I'm going to buy another radio. And I know this particular radio. Why would I go and buy something else that I don't know about? So I bought another Kenwood TS520. I think it was the SE version. And I had that for a number of years. And I actually had, at one point, I had to do something. I had to replace a bulb, and some sparks were flying or something. So I sent, because I shouldn't be opening ever the lid to those things. And I sent it off to a fellow down in Florida whose hobby it was to restore these things. And he had a restoration fee or a complete overhaul, tuning, everything. And so I sent it off, got it back. And so my 520 SE was in perfect shape. It was just perfect. It was pristine, almost mint, perfect working order. But it was also a period of time where I was kind of getting out of the hobby. I was getting much more interested in the medium wave stuff and the portable radios that I was buying. And that thing, my Kenwood 520, would just sit over there on the table and never get used, and under a bunch of stuff. And there was a time where I just said, well, why am I holding on to this? Maybe it's time to turn this into some cash and fund some other things. It's kind of how I thought about it. And I think at the time I was buying a new guitar. So I still have that guitar, and I love that guitar, so it was a trade-off. But I sold it, and I should have held on to that thing because it was just in perfect shape. And anyway, this one I bought a year or so ago, which is not nearly in as good a shape, and it works fine, but I kind of miss that particular one that I had, and it was a really good radio. So that was number 3 on my list. All right, number 2. Mixed reviews on this radio, kind of controversial. The Grundig Satellite 800 Millennium. I bought mine. I've had a couple of them over the years, but the one that I'm regretting getting rid of was I bought brand new. Not sure how I managed to afford that back then, because it was probably 2002 or 2003 when I bought it. So it was brand new, in the box, all of the accessories. I mean, it's brand new. And I enjoyed it. I loved it. I didn't use it as much as I thought maybe I should or would have when I bought it. But like a lot of other things, it went back in the box, or it was collecting dust on the shelf and I didn't listen to it, and I got involved in other things, and come time when I needed to make some money on some other project, I think it was, as absurd as it is to say, I think it was a laptop that I was trying to buy at the time. And I said, you know what, I think it's time to get rid of this thing. I don't listen to it. I don't really use it. And so the radio in its original box, original carton, it might have had the original plastic because I kept everything, just about everything. It's okay, Henry. Anyway, I let it go. Now, I did make some money on it. There's no question about it. But, you know, when you have something that's in mint shape, and it was a beautiful radio. It's huge, right? And actually, if you go back, way back in my channel, I think there's a video of me tuning around on the Satellite 800, I think, but not that one. It was a different radio that I had, because I bought one a few years later that was, in my regret, bought another one. It was not new at all. It was grimed with cigarette smoke, all that stuff. Anyway, but having a pristine radio like that was just super. So I'm sorry I got rid of it. All right, so number 1 on my list of radio regrets, I had an FRG-7. I had a Yaesu Musin Frog 7. And this thing also was virtually mint condition. I don't know how I was lucky enough to get it in that condition. I think I had purchased a couple back in the day when I had some extra money. Anyway, this one came perfect cosmetic condition, perfect working condition, had the original manual, the original warranty card, didn't have the packaging to it. But boy, that thing sounded so good. Oh, it was a good radio. It was really good radio. And just, you know, the way that when you're tuning, just the noise floor and that thing was so low, it was so quiet. And then you're tuning around, even on shortwave, you tune around, and then the signals just pop out at you. This beautiful sound from this little speaker, sensitive. I loved it. I loved that radio. Wasn't great on medium wave, at least the way I had it set up. I probably didn't have the antenna set up properly. But that was a good radio. So how did I get rid of that? Oh, geez. It was a dope move. It might have been the guitar purchase or something big I was buying, and I needed to generate some money. And I thought at the time, this thing is just sitting there. I'm not listening to it. I can live without it. Now, the fact is, all of these radios, I could live without. So let's be clear about that. My life has been fine without them. But when I think about, a radio of like that, or like my old Kenwood, or even the Satellite 800. I think about what it funded. Sometimes what it funded was just junk. I was trying to fund purchasing a new computer for the house, which was going to last 3 years anyway. It was just whereas if I had found a different way to do it, or if I was a little bit more patient, which is an important quality, which I don't have a lot of, I would have found a different way to raise those funds. Anyway, I've learned my lesson over the years. Now that there's a lot of radios that I have acquired and that I've sold that I am not even mentioning, they're not worth mentioning, and some really nice radios, and some of them which are featured on some of my videos I no longer have. I don't particularly miss them. But I've learned that if there's a radio that I have that's really nice, I do my best to hold on to it. And so my strategy in the last few years is all these, some of my old radios, I boxed them really carefully. I've got them in, what do you call it, humidity resistant or something. I've got them wrapped up and kind of sealed and put away in a box on a shelf in the other room. So I just kind of forget they're there. And I do that sometimes when I'm either in a downsizing mood, or sometimes I just kind of lose interest in it. And I've got videos on that too, where you kind of go through a season and you just have kind of lost interest in it. So instead of getting rid of the things because of that momentary decline in your interest, I've learned to hold on to them until the interest comes back, because I've learned that the interest always comes back eventually. So if I fall away from a particular interest or a particular hobby, it's generally for a time, and then I come back to it. So and in many ways, I'm coming back to it right now. I've been involved with the amateur radio field activation stuff lately, but starting to get a little bit more motivated to get going on medium wave stuff too, which I enjoy, and a little bit of shortwave. So anyway, that's my top 5 video for today. I hope you've enjoyed. Again, this is the Radio Dog channel. I'm not in it for money. I don't care if you subscribe or not, but I hope to share a little bit of the hobby with you, and I hope this has been enjoyable to watch. So until next time, 73, and be well.